All right, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the McKinney Podcast. We celebrate what makes us unique by nature, and I'm just going to jump straight into it. We ran long with Rick Grady, so that means we've got a little bit less time for Miss Barb Delk with the McKinney Chamber of Commerce, formerly with Community Impact Newspaper and a whole bunch of other stuff. Barb has been around the block. She knows everybody. She knows where all the bodies are buried, knows all the dirt on everything, has all the great ideas. Man, fantastic conversation coming up here. Welcome, Barb.
Thank you. What a great intro. That's so special.
What is your title at the Chamber?
Business Development Director.
Okay. I know it's just the girl who gets stuff done. So, yeah, that's, and you're also the program coordinator for Leadership McKinney.
I am. Yes.
Yeah. Following in the footsteps of the illustrious Deb Fitzgerald.
I know.
Yeah. Huge shoes to fill there.
Huge.
And she's lovingly, enjoying retirement and spending time with grandbabies and whatnot.
Yes.
Was she in Iowa? Is that where she is?
Michigan.
Well, I was not even close there. I thought it was Midwest somewhere.
Yeah.
Michigan. Okay.
Everything north of Oklahoma, or as we like to say, North Texas, it's all the same, right?
I would have got that wrong on Final Jeopardy. In fact, I did get it wrong just now because Iowa is not Michigan. So, Barb Delk, you are a lady of many, many talents. It's hard for me to pack this into 40 minutes because I first came across Barb Delk in 2017.
It was.
I think it was 2017.
Yep.
You had just taken the role at Community Impact for the market leader or vice president of whatever.
Yep.
I don't know what they call it over there. Yeah, general manager. There is one of those.
Or McKinney. Yes.
The lady who's in charge of the McKinney market. There you go.
Yes.
And
county judge?
county judge of Community Impact. Yeah. So at that point, you were all about raising awareness of the things that are happening in and around McKinney from a journalism perspective.
Yes.
Okay. But before we ever get to this, you've lived a long and very high achievement.
Easy on the law.
Nice.
Easy on the law.
High achievement, but it's like you've been around for a few decades.
Life.
Yes.
Lived life.
You've had a lot of life, a lot of achievements.
Yep.
Catch us up on current evolution. How did you get to that point in your life? Share whatever you want. Family, other career elements, whatever. What's the truncated version of the Barb Delk story?
Okay, so born and raised in New Hampshire, to a couple of really hardworking factory workers. So saw that dedication and that hard work and just the grind. And so I'm the third child out of four. So I was the middle child, so the forgotten one. I always say that, but it's kind of true. So, we're living in New Hampshire. It's a lot of blue collar workers up there, a lot of people that work very, very, very hard with little recognition. And so I remember watching everybody around me and I thought, I could do that. I could follow in everybody's footsteps, but I want to do something different. I don't know what that looks like. So I started at 16 working in a law firm. Then they put me through school. And I worked at that law firm until I was about 20. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. It is not for me. And so shortly thereafter, I met my husband. We got married. I got out of Dodge. I was like, let's go see the world. Wasn't the first child to move away, but I was definitely the first child not to go back to New Hampshire. And the first place we moved to was San Angelo, Texas. So I went from a bustling area where Boston was my playground to San Angelo, Texas. And I was like, what are these chickens in the road? What are these people with cowboy hats?
Everything is
the
dirt
anti-Boston.
Everything dirt and tumbleweeds, right?
And so from there, I moved to Alabama. I started working for a credit union out there. I loved it. I called that place home for 8 years. I have a tremendous amount of friends in Alabama. Roll Tide. I could say that now that I move away. Otherwise, it would have been catastrophic in an argument, with Auburn.
When half the state feels differently.
Yes, my best friend being one of them. And so then we moved to Virginia out in the D.C. area when my husband got transferred. And I was there for the longest years of my life, again, in banking. I stayed there in banking. And then a position came available here in North Texas, and I had visited for work. And I thought, I think I'm ready to move back to Texas. I think this is where I want to be. I don't like D.C. I don't like the weather. I didn't like the traffic. It was very lonely. And so I moved here with my job. And a couple of years later, I started the leadership program in Plano. So Leadership Plano. And at that point, I was AVP regional director, overseeing like 13 locations. And during my time through leadership, I realized that I was in the wrong career field. I was a servant leader at heart. I wanted to be involved in a community. And my current job, though it paid very well, was not fulfilling me. And all my kids were pretty much in school growing up. And as you know, I have 5. And so I stepped away. I just stepped away from a 20 plus year career in banking and said, I don't want to do this anymore. Plus, I think, over time, and a lot of people go through this, you kind of like lose yourself. You forget who you are. I was a mom and a wife and a professional, but what was I really? I know I had this creative part of me. I know I love talking to people, even though I'm a super introvert, which a lot of people find funny, but it's true. And so I said, I'm just going to take this little job at a promotional product company and kind of like build my confidence. So I was there for about a year and kind of was like, okay, I'm ready. I know what I want to do. And because I went through Leadership Plano, and you went through leadership, the connections are incredible.
Yep.
Very good friend that I made while there. And I saw that they were hiring at Community Impact. And I was like, would I be good for this? And she was like, oh my gosh. And so I got hired as the general manager for Community Impact over the McKinney market. And McKinney is amazing. Always loved it. And it was life-changing. I was able to be part of the community that I love so much. I had a company that had integrity to the core. I got to work for a company that was like unbiased news. What? Like finding out what's happening, what makes a city tick. What? And so through that, I met you, James, through a networking group. Mm-hmm. It was an incredible journey. I made tons of friends. They're still friends. And just got really involved and loved being able to embrace their mission through that whole thing. And during my tenure, I went through Leadership McKinney, and it just confirmed everything I was feeling. I was like, this community is amazing. These people are amazing. With that, I got involved in the chamber. I got on the chamber board. And I remember telling Lisa, CEO of the McKinney Chamber, I said, and Kathy Blank, who we all know, which I'm now in her role, but I always said, if I ever decide to leave CI, the chamber is where I want to work.
Yep.
And I said, I want to work at the McKinney Chamber. And
it is the best chamber I have ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are other chambers as good as the McKinney Chamber of Commerce. I just haven't seen one yet.
It's so true though. Like, and I've been a part of a lot of chambers. I've lived a lot of different places and we're always involved. But from a personal standpoint, what I love about the chamber is I can be who I am. Yeah. Like they look at my strengths and they're like, go at it. And I'm a harder worker because I have that autonomy to be who I want to be and do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I do. I like to put my hands in a ton of different things. Yeah. I want to be involved in a ton of different things because I like to start conversations with people I don't know. And how do you do that? Mm-hmm. You have a whole bunch of information stuck in your head.
That's right.
So that's my little bit of my journey.
When I think about the chamber and the relationship between you and Lisa Hermes, it's kind of like a bicycle. Lisa's the handlebars, you're the pedals.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you think
She's
about
the innovator. She is the big picture person.
She really is.
Mm-hmm. And I love that because I can see her picture and then I can just kind of like saying, let's put it together.
And then you execute. She's steering the bike and you're making sure the bike is moving forward.
Yeah.
So
it's great.
Yeah.
It's a good partnership.
Yeah. Okay. So first off, where in New Hampshire were you? You said Boston was your place, but you don't sound like you're from Boston.
So, I told you the first place I moved to is San Angelo, Texas.
Mm-hmm. And you don't sound like you're from San Angelo either.
I have learned how to change my dialect.
Really?
Yes, because I was so Yankee. Oh my goodness gracious. I go back and I slip right into the New England dialect. It is hilarious. But then I go to Alabama and I am as country can get. It's because it's one of those things that, Pat, the guy that I work with, is our sales guy, super great.
Russo,
he's amazing. We talk about being a chameleon. We adjust to the environment we're in. And I think it's a little bit of wanting to be accepted. And so, people were like, from New England? New England? And it was like, really? I was like, yeah, dang it. I'm from Manchester area, New Hampshire, southern New Hampshire. But then I went to Alabama and it is like, I was like, okay, we got to figure this out. I have to embrace this environment. And I love Alabama. I love it. But I kind of lost my accent over time. But don't put me in a situation where I'm around Pat. If you ever hear me talking to Pat, you'll hear it.
Okay.
Well, and if you, for anybody that knows New England, New Hampshire is basically the Texas of the Northeast.
A little bit.
That attitude, that independent streak, that don't mess with us. We do our own thing. We're not Massachusetts. We're not New York. We're definitely not Vermont. Like everybody that I know from New Hampshire seems like they could be from Texas too, just the way they carry themselves.
Our logo is live free or die.
Yeah.
Hello.
There you go.
And maybe I'm wrong on that, but I just get the vibe that New Hampshire is like the Texas of New England.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's a great state to grow up in. It was beautiful. I still have tons of my family there. My son actually moved there a couple of years ago and he's thriving. And so I love that there's still so much of that in them that they just love the Northeast.
So for anybody listening that may not know, this is a bit of a different conversation because Barb is actually like a friend, not just like a work friend. And a lot of that is because of Addie, your daughter. Addie, hi, welcome. I know you're probably going to watch this episode or listen at some point. You called me when we had a job posting when RiskWell, our company, was 2 months old.
Oh, yeah. Just a baby company.
We had just started. We needed help because we were growing like a weed. And I posted everywhere. It was like, hey, looking for help. And you called me and was like, hey, I have someone for your job posting. And I was like, yeah, who? She's like, my daughter. And my very first question was, is she like you? That was my first question. And she was like, oh, yeah, she's my mini-me. I remember the conversation like it happened 5 minutes ago. It was one of the most pivotal conversations of my life because we met Addie. We stayed late to have a pizza interview with her because it was like 6 p.m. or whatever because she was working in property management at the time.
Yeah.
And we didn't hire her at that time because it wasn't the right fit. But I said at that time, I was like, I'm going to keep your information and I'm going to call you the next time we have an opening because I just had a sneaking suspicion that Addie was good people and I wanted her on my team. And what do you know? About 6 months later, we had another position open and we interviewed again and we gave her that role. She was employee number 2 and she was with us for 5.5 years and she was the cornerstone of this company. And she's got her fingerprints all over what we do here. And, not directly over the McKinney Podcast, but the company that helped launch the McKinney Podcast and gave me the freedom to do projects like the McKinney Podcast.
Right.
So in a way, Addie's fingerprints are on the McKinney Podcast.
I was going to say her fingerprints are all over you from no, James, no.
I'm pretty sure I have her fingerprints on the back of my neck from grabbing me out of whatever it was that I was doing. Because I'm an idea guy.
You are.
I have lots of ideas, and most of them aren't great, but some of them are great. Dang it! So, anyways, that little story, like Barb, will always have a very special place in my heart because I probably wouldn't have met Addie because Addie was working down in Dallas and doing something completely different.
Right.
Probably would have never crossed paths with her had it not been for Barb Delk. And, Addie changed the course of our company's history. Yeah. So, this is a different interview.
I know.
So
it's, I was thinking about it on the drive here. I was like, my goodness gracious. Like one way or another, James, our families have intertwined throughout the last several years. Yeah. And then I'm thinking, well, gosh, Fred, you and I are the same. You just recently took my entire family's photos.
An amazing,
at Adriatica.
Amazing family. And I always like to say this, that when I have familial knowledge of somebody, that speaks volumes to who the person is. And I have to say that, you said earlier, she's lived life, right? And I was like, okay, I knew Addie was her daughter, but that was just because we were actually, it wasn't until the silos, the great reveal for the silos,
Right.
Addie was there and you were there.
Yeah.
And I saw Addie talk to her and I saw you and she goes, yeah, my daughter told me that she was talking to you. And I was like, I'm looking across the sea of people like, who's your daughter? She's like, Addie. And I'm like, Addie who? She's like, Addie, right there. I was like, that's your daughter?
Yep.
So, all of a sudden I could see
But
it.
when you see them standing next to each other, it's like,
yeah,
yeah, of course that's your daughter.
Yeah.
Genetics.
That's right. And now that Addie has caught up to Barb, who seems to have frozen at $29.95,
you're
right?
so kind.
You look like
Benjamin Button over here.
You look like sisters. But going back to it, when you meet the family, when you meet, the husband or the dad of all the children, and I got to interact with all the children. They're all grown.
Yeah.
And they have children. All right.
Yes.
When you get to meet them and you see the caliber of just good people that they are, you're like, man, I just want to, salute, great job,
Thank
to
you.
mom and Pa Delk. Y'all did some things right.
Thank you.
Which is going to drive my grammatical friends crazy because you, not y'all, did some things correctly.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks.
no heat from the grammar police.
I would be remiss if I didn't invite you to talk about your role as an Air Force wife.
Oh, gosh.
Because being a military spouse is a big part of who you are as a person. And it has shaped your perspective. It has shaped your resilience, your toughness, the way that you parent, the way that you live your life, the way that you serve a team, the way that you lead the people that are under your charge. Talk about that for a little bit. What was your experience like, not as the one wearing the uniform, but as the one supporting the one wearing the uniform, which is not talked about as often as it should be?
Yeah.
What was your experience like as a military spouse?
Gosh, I feel that my journey was actually probably so much easier compared to so many other wives and families. But I would say that my kids laugh, and actually my best friends will say the same. Like, I ran my household like basic training.
I've heard stories.
I mean, a big family. I was very, 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 very tight with them. I think, the biggest thing is supporting my husband through weird hours and times and tragedies. So there's, when 9/11, this is a perfect example. So when 9/11 happened, I was working in a call center in Alabama at our credit union. And I just had a baby. I had 2 other children, and they got called to the airstrip in Florida to sit. And all I kept thinking is like, what's going to happen? Like, how does this, it's just, I mean, I'm in the call center and I'm watching what's happening because I was in charge of all their internet and emails through the stuff. And so it was really early, obviously 2000s. And I'm watching what's going through, and I can't get a hold of anybody. I can't get a hold of anybody, but I know that they've been called up and they're gone, and they're like, I have 2 minutes. I'm just letting you know that I'm safe. And that was it. And I remember just like not being able to breathe because not only was it my husband, but it was my friends' husbands or my, some of their wives, and they're just, scattered. And so that was my biggest moment where I was like, this is such a terrible tragedy, but I'm so blessed and I'm so proud of our military. And, I even have a hard time when, the Pledge of Allegiance or they're singing because I sob. Like, to be able to live the life that they gave us. And my last child was born in an Army hospital. Don't recommend that to anybody. Just want to say that. But, those people really just give, and being there and seeing that. It's hard, James, it's really hard to put into words the life. My youngest child doesn't know his dad in the military because he retired when he was just a couple of years old. So, but the other children remember him in uniform. And my husband, Brian, is kind of sad. He's like, he doesn't know me. That was his ID. That's who he was all of his life. And he struggles today. When he retired, people wouldn't hire him. And he's in cybersecurity. I mean, he was over massive teams. He's a technical genius. And companies were like, oh, well, I've got this janitor position. Well, we hire military. We hire retirees. No. Do you understand that these military people that have gone through know way more than that? And it took him 2.5 years to find a job. In fact, when he retired, he came to Texas because that's where we were living. He retired from Virginia. He came to Texas and couldn't get a job. So he decided, I'm going to finish my GI Bill to kind of help pay the way as everything. I was paying for everything. And so he finished that and he still couldn't find a job. Now he's got a full, 22-year career in the Air Force. He's got, a degree. They won't even look at him. No company.
It's insane.
It's insane. Yeah. And then he started working at Kroger, filling the freezer section because he's just trying to bring in income. We got 5 kids. And so, great guy, just so humble. And then finally we were like, well, financially we can't do this. I'm working 70 hours a week at the bank and I'm burning. I'm done. I can't do it. And so he called up Virginia, who knew him. He worked at the Pentagon. So they knew his track record and they hired him. And so he moved back to Virginia to start getting some civilian
contracts.
Yeah, some civilian experience, quote unquote.
So was he on a payroll or was he a contractor?
No, they hired him straight up.
Oh, wow.
In a heartbeat. Like he called and he's like, I can't find anything here in North Texas. There's nothing. They won't even look at me.
So I was guessing it was DOD stuff or something like that?
DOD stuff. So they hired him and he worked there for a year. So I was single parenting, working at the credit union these obscene hours, trying to balance everything. He flew back once a month for 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part of the story.
A year. Yeah, it was really, so when you talk about Addie, you want to talk about resilience. This was in 2013, 14.
Oh my gosh.
15.
So Charlie's 4 years old?
Yes. Charlie's 4 years old. My oldest son just entered the military and I've got 2 teenagers. I got Dayton and Addie.
Wow.
And so poor Addie, she took on the brunt of it, helping me. That's the years when she was basically a second mom to Charlie. So she was always like, he's like my kid, she was in high school. And so, he, after a year, he applied to Boeing, and Boeing, even though he had been applying to Boeing for 2 years, they were like, let's interview you. You're hired. He was like, unbelievable. 3 years. That was a challenge because, and you ask any spouse, when their significant other is gone for any extended time, you get a routine.
Yeah.
Sure.
And when they come back into that routine,
they're an outsider.
That's right.
I'm like, don't get in my space. I've got this down. You want the break, but you don't want to give him,
You can't jump onto
he's not allowed to have a cup in the cabinet.
Exactly.
A train that's already up
and
to
it's
speed.
hard, And so that year back, and he was wonderful. He just let me take that lead, and finally when I left the bank, I was like, I can't do it anymore, and that's when he came in and kind of swooped me up and he's like, I got you, babe. And so, but yeah, that was really tough. I think retirement for the military people is very, very difficult. They don't know how to navigate this world. I think they try to prepare them, but they live in such structure.
Well, it's kind of like people that come out of prison and like recidivism going back into normal civilian life. It's like, because, and I'm not saying that the military is like prison. I'm just saying the amount of structure.
The structure.
External structure that is forced on people in prison, that is forced on people in the military because this is how you live your life.
Right.
And then you get out and it's like all the structure just like a fart in the wind. It's all gone instantly.
Didn't know what to do. Like even come down to like dressing. He's like, how do I dress for this interview? How do I? And I'm like, you're handsome. Put some clothes on. You got this. But, like to be able to like introduce him to places and to people and stuff like that, it was always really hard. So it was really, where he was the caregiver for so long and then I switched, it was like, whoa, I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't thrive because I felt like I thrived, but it's not what I want. That wasn't what I wanted to be.
Even an alpha woman wants to be swept off her feet now and then.
Totally. I just want to enjoy life.
Yeah.
And I was like,
So I want to digress for a little bit because you mentioned back when you were at CI that you said, if I ever leave CI, I'm going to work at the McKinney Chamber of Commerce. What was it about that idea that intrigued you so much? Because someone like you, you're going to be successful no matter where you land. It's like a cat. If you toss a cat, that's always going to land on its feet. It just finds the ground.
Yeah.
That's Barb Delk to a T. What is it about the McKinney Chamber and just chamber work in general that attracted you to the point that you called your shot like Babe Ruth standing at home plate going, there, that's where I'm going right there.
Yeah. And then called and said, I want to have coffee. I need to chat with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, working for CI, I work with so many businesses in the area. So I was like, this is fascinating. I love to mingle with business owners. They know so much and they have these vision and everything. And so when I started to be part of the chamber through leadership, I was like, these people are really cool. They seem very down to earth. They seem very focused on this community. And then when I got on the board, I saw the big picture of chamber involvement. And I'm so glad you asked me this, James, because I don't think even in my tenure with chambers, I didn't realize all that they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so as being on the board, I saw kind of like the back end of it, their involvement, and especially through COVID. My goodness gracious. If anybody remembers the McKinney Chamber through COVID, you want to talk about the poster child for excellence and support for their local business community.
Yep.
And I mean, with restaurants, they were huge. They sold T-shirts to raise
the whole McKinney Strong thing with the red shirts.
I still have my shirts.
Same.
I think I just wore it actually at Leadership. But they just were like, I know we can't have in-person networking because they're trying to figure it out with everybody and they're trying to keep us safe, but they have to understand that business is business. And so that right there, I was like, wow, we had a great board at the time. And Lisa was really just hunkered down and she was just taking the hits left and right. And I looked at her and I thought, this lady is incredible. Yeah. I mean, she's literally being pummeled right now and she's trying to lead this organization for these businesses. And she is just as lost as the rest of us trying to figure it out. But she just inspired me. And I thought, I want to be that. And then Kathy Blank, my best friend, I just love her to death.
She's
and
wonderful.
Everybody loves Kathy.
Everybody loves Kathy. I mean, I can't even say enough about her.
Actually, it's not Kathy Blank.
It's not. It's Kathy
Vidane.
Vidane. I'm like
LaBella Vidane.
LaBella Devane.
That's right.
Vidane. So she's married now.
That's right.
And so, but watching her, and she's just in the most loving way, ruthless when it comes to
relentlessly persistent.
And she always is like, "Oh, you're so much better than me." Hell no, I'm not. I mean, I can't even fit in those shoes. I don't try. I try to be Barb, and I try to make her proud. So that's all I can say about that. But and then the team that they had was just phenomenal. I love Deb. Just everybody that was great. And so I wanted, to go back to the original question, I wanted to help businesses. I wanted to help be their voice. It's what I loved about CI. I felt it was a perfect fit to do that with the chamber, but I could do it in a much deeper level because I can do more of a partnership and find ways to help them. And sometimes it's through advertising and sometimes it's just through connections. And connections, if my Strengths Finder relationship is in my top 5. I'm a connector. That's how I feed off of everything. And so for me, there was a perfect fit.
Awesome.
It just was a perfect segue.
How good for you to be able to leave a company that you have such high feelings for with CI, being a Texas-based, independent journalism company, to be able to have your protege, someone that you spent years developing and mentoring, and to see her flourish and be an outstanding GM. Shout out to you, Miranda Talley. I'm looking right at the camera for this one. You go, girl. We're a big fan of yours.
That's right.
how great for you as a leader to know that you're leaving this organization and your market in really good hands in Miranda Talley, who's part of your legacy. And then you, in turn, are moving over to the McKinney Chamber to pick up and add to the legacy of Kathy Blank, of Deb Fitzgerald, of Buzz Colby, God rest his soul, and the people that were there before you. It's like, you know what? I'm going to walk over here and put my hand on the rope, and I'm going to start tugging like those who put their hands on the rope before me, and setting the example for those that will put their hands on the rope after you release that rope and step back from it. It's kind of a...
I just love it. I love to be able to take what they've created and they've done and bring it. And as far as like Miranda goes, I don't know if you know this, but her and I started at CI the exact same day.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
How about that?
I was her GM and she was my salesperson. And we didn't know anything about CI. We knew that we loved CI and what they stood for, but we didn't know the dynamics. And so we traveled that journey for 5 years together. And I always knew she had it. Man, I mean, and James, you were part of this. Her and I would sit together and talk to you about why you should be part of community impact. You saw that dynamic and that play that we could do. And now to watch her just freaking own this market. I mean, she's phenomenal. She's taken it to new heights, and I couldn't be more proud of her for it.
I know this isn't a CI episode, but community impact newspaper is just a very interesting thing. As people that aren't in the area that don't receive CI in their mailbox every month, completely free of charge. There's 85,000 households now get it in the local market. And it's like, we don't have a McKinney-based full distribution newspaper because, print media is going the way of the dodo bird, unfortunately. But CI shows up once a month in your mailbox completely free. And if you're not getting it and you want to, you can go to communityimpact.org, right? That communityimpact.com and request to be added to their distribution list. It was like,
or you could sign online and look at the digital.
Get the email.
It's the most unique thing because so much that is happening in McKinney. There's so much alignment between what this podcast is trying to do and what CI is doing online, in print, and everything. It's as we kind of reset the playing field, so to speak, with organizations that we're aligned with based on deliverables and fit and effort and all of those things. CI is probably the only one that I know for sure we're still aligned with in a really big way, just because Miranda's enthusiasm for what the podcast is trying to accomplish stands out among all of the people that we first started with of, hey, this is what we want to do. Right there with EDC. Michael Kowski has been very vocal about believing in what we're trying to accomplish, and Luke Gajeri and some other folks at EDC. But like CI and EDC together, those two organizations, like as we kind of recalibrate for the upcoming year or two, the two standouts is like these folks just plain get it.
And I'm glad you said that because right along with the Chamber, those are our biggest partners too. Some of our biggest partners. We share a lot of CI's content on the McKinneytoday.com website that we have specifically for our business community. We realize that we're in a news desert, and CI does a fantastic job at providing that news content. And then where you're filling in through the podcast and where we're filling in at the Chamber about community initiatives and things going on that they can't necessarily cover.
Right.
And then you've got the EDC, the CDC doing incredible work here in this city and being able to partner with them on our development updates. So real time. I feel like as long as we continue with that, all of us continue with that focus, we're going to really that's why McKinney keeps standing out. I don't know if you recently heard, but McKinney was rated like the #1 place to live in the country.
Not surprised.
It was 2 weeks ago on the radio, which is going dead, but I was listening to the radio and I was like, all right, McKinney. I just love it.
Well,
but there's a reason.
I forget which real estate publication it was. It was one of the major national ones. Like McKinney was the #4 or #5, one or the other. It was like the best market for investment property, either 4 or 5 in the country. And of the top 10 real estate markets in the country right now, 4 of them are in North Texas.
Isn't that crazy?
And it's like, you would think after all these years that the growth would slow down at some point.
Mhm.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not
we're,
slowing
we're,
down.
we're hitting that stride. We're
Yeah.
hitting that stride where we're on the map. It wasn't long after we moved here in 2010 that I don't know if it was Time, Newsweek, somebody gave McKinney. We were in like the top 5 of places to live,
Mhm.
Yep.
and Elizabeth and I looked at each other like, dog. Like we threw good darts at the map.
Really?
And so we wound
Well-
up here. But, from what we've seen and, really getting involved with the chamber, because when we were talking about moving from Florida to Texas, people kept on telling us, you need to join the Chamber of Commerce. And I was like,
That's not really a thing in Florida.
no, it's like, so that one door on that one building, or every so often I see, sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce. It's like, what is this? And so we showed up, and we had no idea. So we joined first Elizabeth in 2011 because we moved here in December of 2010, and then FredShots, in 2012. And it was like, okay, we joined. Now what? But the McKinney Chamber back then, I can't remember her name. Lisa is now in that position, but she just
Terry Bratton.
No, it was
Before that?
No, it was between. Anyway, long, historians, someone's going to chime in and go, it was such and such. I can see her face,
Yeah.
but I can't remember.
Yeah.
But she called me up and she was like, hey, welcome to the chamber. We want to know how we can best serve you, and would you and your wife meet me for lunch at Square Burger? And we sat down, and she just outright said, so what is it that you need? And I was like, I don't, what?
Right.
It's like, what is this? And so coming to the Links meetings, paying attention to, the communications from the chamber, which now, when I think back to what we were getting back in, the early 2010s, now, it is so much better. It's so much better. The nonstop, not abusive, but the access to information that we have, how you share these things, these upcoming things, sponsorship opportunities, why would you want to show up to this? Those are all incredible. And I do have to say that without the Chamber of Commerce, I don't think that FredShots would be where it is. I'd probably be, nothing wrong with flipping burgers or stocking a grocery store.
Right.
But, as you said earlier, doing what I was meant to do, I don't think would have happened without the Chamber of Commerce. So for those of you who are tuning in who are not members of the McKinney Chamber of Commerce, the best, I do agree with you, Chamber of Commerce.
Bro, I've been in 4 chambers. This one smokes the other
That's
3.
That's right. That you need to become a part of it. And I know our time is short. Leadership McKinney, give us the stump speech. Why?
Woo!
Why?
Highly questionable choices in this year's class roster, I got to say.
Yeah, that one guy's always wearing red and black.
Yeah.
Okay, so Leadership McKinney, you want to know about your community? You want to be with some leaders that are making the change? You want to figure out who you are, and you want to get plugged in and become lifelong friends with these people? Leadership is where to go.
Yep. And I got to say explicitly, folks, you do not have to own a business or be an executive in some big company to be in Leadership McKinney. Every year, there's a couple of people that are just citizens. Yep. I don't know if the chamber explicitly earmarks seats on the roster for people that are just rank and file citizens that don't necessarily have any sort of professional position. Because I know there's lots of earmarks. Certain big sponsors, they have a list of people where it's like, well, this year is this person, next year is that person, the year after that's that person, whether it's South State Bank or another very large sponsor. But for those out there that are thinking, well, am I even qualified to think about Leadership McKinney? You absolutely are. If you live or work in the city of McKinney, you are qualified to apply.
All you have to do is be passionate.
But it is a commitment.
It is a commitment.
It is a commitment.
You best come ready to play.
Definitely, yes. I'm pretty firm on that.
Yeah.
I'm just following, I always say I was following Deb. She used to scare me half to death when I was in class, and I just love it.
What year were you in? Was it 18 or 19?
19.
I thought you were 19. You were in there with Rita Townsend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a powerhouse of a class, man.
Kathy, Rita, Julie, Anna. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So many
19 was a
people.
baller of a class.
Yeah. We're still, but 75% of us are still super active in the community.
As a current current person in the program. And I've heard it for ever since we joined the chamber and started coming to events. My first introduction to leadership was photographing their graduation. And I was like, what on earth is this? But everybody who came up and was introduced, they always said, best class ever. And I was like, okay, and I would look, I was like, oh, yeah, that's phenomenal. That's amazing. You've got, amazing in there. And as far as I can tell, every class is the best class ever because
according to them.
Yeah, according to them.
Yeah.
Of course, mine
greatest class
that's
ever.
Right.
That
was last year's
greatest class ever.
Greatest class ever. But, going back to that whole thing about, discovering and learning more about your community, learning more about who you are and the commitment, because it is a commitment. It's 9 days, right?
Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus an Austin trip.
9 full days.
Probably 11 total.
11 total days. But it's over
11 of the best days of your year.
Yeah.
But it's over 9 months?
Yes.
9 months that it takes. And so, as having only been to the retreat, I can say that I'm super excited about just learning about the people within my class itself. And then realizing the connections that are there to everyone else they know. Because in our small little discussion groups, listening to them talk about little nuggets that they got or admonitions that they got or, advice. And I'm like, man, and where'd you get that from? And they would say such and such. I was like, man, all of a sudden you realize that there is a wealth, what you put into it for these 11-ish days is just a drop in the bucket compared to what you're going to get out of it.
Absolutely.
And the number of times that we talk about leadership in this podcast is a little bit obnoxious, but I'm not sorry at all. I'm 0% sorry.
I get to be obnoxious, in the spring.
I love it. Be obnoxious.
Because for those who don't understand the format, it's basically topical. Every month there's a full day get together and it's highly topical. This week, actually, Thursday of this week is one of the days. I'm super bummed to miss it. It's City Day.
Right?
City Day.
You guys get to talk to City Council. You're from Paul Grimes, City Manager. It's wonderful. This is, I think, the only one I'm going to miss. And RiskWell is the title sponsor for this year's class of Leadership McKinney. The best $5,000 I could ever spend on a sponsorship is every dollar extremely well spent. Jokingly tell them you could pry the sponsorship out of my cold dead hands because nobody's getting this one. It's like I'm signing whatever preemptive contract deposit you want to pay for 3 years in advance. I'll pay for 3 years in advance. I don't care.
Take my money.
It's like y'all ain't getting this sponsorship away. Sorry, if anybody else wants it, you better line up years in advance.
Love it.
So
they're going to turn it more like into eBay and auction based. 550, 550.
Nope. No, that's when I turn it to Charles Barkley and body check somebody who's trying to get the ball away from me. Oh man. So Barb, what's the call to action for people that are listening to this who maybe aren't involved in the chamber in some way? Because you don't necessarily have to be a business owner to be involved in the chamber.
That's correct.
You can have Women's Alliance of McKinney, the Senior Services Alliance. There's the government
MYP,
and political, advocacy side of things. The McKinney Young Professionals. Just because you don't own a business doesn't mean you can't be a part of the chamber. There's so many ways to get plugged in, folks.
Yeah.
So what's your call to action as we wrap this thing up?
Come to some of the events we have. You do not have to be a member to come to our events. They're open to the public. A lot of chambers don't do that. So I say go to the ones that interest you. Start plugging yourself in. See if it's a good fit. Meet with one of us. All of us at the chamber are available to chat with. And we love that. Because if we can't help you, we'll tell you we can't help you. That's what we're here for. But I think that you have to start with learning what it's about. If you are a servant leader, if you want to grow your team or yourself, that the chamber is where it's at because that's what we focus on.
Love it.
Aside from connection.
That's as succinct as it gets. Fred, you want to hit her with that last question?
Okay, Barb. I'm sure you've tuned into some of these, but
I have.
It's different when you're in the studio. So, who wins in a fight between a great white shark and a giant polar bear? They're in a body of water 6 feet deep, infinite dimensions, no sandbar, no shoreline, no edges, no land. Who wins in that fight? Great white shark, giant polar bear.
Polar bear.
Polar bear. Oh, you didn't even think about it.
She was ready for this question, man. She's a listener.
All right, so why the polar bear?
Are you kidding me? A polar bear, man. Have you seen them swim?
Yeah.
they can like rise out of the water and just come down on that great white shark. That shark has no chance.
Well, and they have tree trunks for paws.
Yeah. One big old swipe. Yeah.
That shark is done, bro.
Go polar bear.
One smack by shark.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the right answer, but that's what I go with.
Is that a smack, trained by Addie?
No, I don't know, man. I don't know. Addie, here's the thing. Addie was trained by Barb. So if it's trained by Addie, it's one step away from trained by Barb. So
Barb and Bear both begin with a B.
To be clear, there is no wrong answer.
Okay.
Fred and I have a running argument because Fred's team shark and I'm team polar bear.
Oh, no wonder you had that look. I was like,
one of these days, and we keep on talking about it, we're going to have T-shirts that simply say Team Shark and Team Bear.
I love it.
And it's going to have the podcast logo on the back.
You should.
And people can be like, what's Team Shark? I was like, well, you got to listen to the podcast. So
I will buy one.
Okay.
Before the end of the year, we will have an official
right.
online swag thing set up. And all of the profits from that will go to a charity, local charity.
I love that.
We're not making any money off of this.
Right.
I love it. Totally Team Bear.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
there we go.
hard after Team Bear.
There we go. She's broken the streak.
Yeah.
We've
You're
had
the first Team Bear in a while.
Oh.
We've got like
Really?
6 or 7 episodes in a row has been Team Shark.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's strange.
I've taken it personally because I'm pretty strongly Team Bear.
Are you?
It's like, how do you have... The bear has 5 different weapons. You got a mouth, you got 4 paws.
It's like those water buffaloes, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're scary. Those
Yeah.
bears are scary. I love
Well, it's
it.
like a hippo.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody gonna mess with a hippo.
No.
Come on.
No, those
Team
things.
shark,
Those
not gonna
things.
happen.
Those things are really just sharks with teeth and a skin. You
Yeah.
seen those things in the water?
Oh, yeah.
Now, I do have to confess that living in Florida, I have swam upon a shark, and it is a life-changing experience. I don't espouse cursing. I believe I invented new curse words from
I know.
running on water, just total fear.
Like Peter in the Bible, you said
right.
Fred was literally running across the top of the water.
Yeah, I might have inspired Peter. He might have gone, dog, that's how you get it done.
And I respect that, but a bear can not only swim, but it can also be on land.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
there is that.
I think Barb and I just agree that Team Shark is just
It's all good.
confused. Team
It's all
Shark's
good.
confused. We just pet them on the shoulder and say, "Oh,
It's
bless
all
your heart."
right.
All I have to
As
say,
they say in Alabama, "Oh, bless your
bless
heart."
your heart.
all I have to say is you have Shark Week.
Where's the Bear Week?
I'm like, wait, National Geographic?
Bear Week.
like
Shark Week
Grizzly
is
bears, black bears, brown bears, polar bears.
Shark Week is internationally recognized, and you have things like Sharknado. All right.
Bro, okay. I'm going to have to end the episode now
You
because we've
are,
officially
that
lost
Sharknado. I'm
half
like-
of our audience. If you survived to this part of the episode, congratulations.
You're a trooper.
Yeah. And she is Barb Delk, the Director of Business Development for the McKinney Chamber of Commerce. This has been another episode of the McKinney Podcast. Make it a great day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you again real soon. Y'all take care.
Thank you.